that? Okay.
I will start late.
That's good with me.
There's not gonna be anybody
Yes, there will be. We have a
on.
presentation.
Commissioner?
No.
No.
Nobody on the phone?
Yes, we do have, not a commissioner, but somebody presentation. Go.
It is 6 o'clock, and I call the July 7th, 2026 regular meeting of the Franklin County Planning Commission to order. We have a commissioner on the phone. Will the commissioner on the phone please confirm? We do not have a commissioner on the phone. Will planning staff please call roll and announce whether or not we have a quorum?
Mike Corrales.
Here.
Mike Vincent. Absent. Remy DeRue. Absent. Mark DeRuiter.
Here.
Manny Gutierrez.
Here.
Stacy Knifton.
Here.
Joel Prantle. Here. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The original item 3 has been rescheduled for the August Planning Commission meeting per applicant's request. We will only have, we'll have 4 items.
Yes, Chairman. We originally have 5 items from
Okay.
the original agenda.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Knifton and seconded by Commissioner DeRuiter. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the April 7, 2026 meeting.
So moved.
Well, second.
Been moved by Commissioner DeRuiter, seconded by Commissioner Gutierrez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Will staff in attendance please introduce yourselves?
Wes McCart, Planning Director.
Jem Bellamore, Planner 2.
Sam Elby, Planner 1.
Alex Hall, Long Range Natural Resource Planner.
Thank you. It is now time for the public hearing portion of our meeting. Good evening and welcome. Here are the ground rules for tonight's hearing. First, in-person public testimony will go first. Each person will be called upon to speak during their allotted in-person public testimony section. Please state your name for the record. Second, emailed comments received during the public hearing will be read into the records by staff after the in-person testimony section of the hearing. Third, all comments shall be addressed to the Planning Commission and should be relevant to the application. 4, each speaker shall have 5 minutes to provide testimony and shall speak into the microphone. 5, please avoid repetitive comments. 6, please be respectful of each other, avoid personal attacks or disruptive behavior. Are there any questions regarding the public hearing rules? Turning for a moment to our commission members, let us keep in mind that we are prohibited by law from communicating with members of the public on the subject matter of these hearings except in these hearings. We also may not participate in a decision in which there is an appearance of conflict of interest to the average person. So let us take a minute to consider as to the matters which are before us for hearing today. whether we have had any ex parte communications, whether we have any ownership interest in the properties, whether we have any business dealings with the proponents or opponents of the matters, or whether we have any business associates or immediate family who may be either benefited or harmed by a decision in these matters. Are there any commission members who have a declaration at this time regarding any of the items on the agenda? There were none. Is there anyone in the audience this evening who would object to any commission member hearing any of the items on the agenda? Let the record show there were no objections. The order of the hearing shall be as follows. Planning staff shall provide a staff report. The commission may ask questions of staff. The applicant or applicant's representatives, presentation, in-person public testimony, email public testimony, final staff comments, close the public testimony, and planning commission discussion of the proposed action. Are there any questions before we begin the public hearing? Item 1 is public hearing for ZC 2026-04, SEPA 2026-06, Freeman rezone. The proposal is to rezone a 5-acre parcel from RC5 to RC1. This proposed zone change is consistent with the Franklin County Comprehensive Plan designation as a rural shoreline development. I declare the public hearing for ZC 2026-04, SEPA 2026-06 to be open at 6:05. May we have staff present the staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. I will present ZC 2026-04, SEPA 2026-06 for the Freeman zone change from RC5 to RC1. The location of this property is 271 Larkspur Road, Pasco, Washington, 99301, with a parcel number of 126,190,265. It is currently zoned RC5. The property size is approximately 5 acres. Like mentioned, the proposal is to rezone the 5-acre parcel from RC5 to RC1. Here is the location of the property on the property map. The applicant submitted a rezone application for one parcel from RC5 to RC1. Parcels north of this area have already been rezoned to RC1. Parcels south have already, is the recently preliminary approved Cherrywood planned unit development. Parcels west of the area have already been developed and are zoned RC1. The parcel across Larkspur Road, as shown in the next slide, was recently approved for a zone change from RC5 to RC1 under planning file ZC 2026-03. Here is the site with the surrounding property zoned. Last meeting that we had, we rezoned this property right here from RC5 to RC1. This is the property right across the street that's asking for a rezone. The comprehensive plan also shows areas within the county that have been designated as limited areas of more intense rural development, or LAMERDs, as required by the Washington Growth Management Act. This parcel is located inside the Rural Shoreline Development LAMERD in map 10 of the comprehensive plan. This is the LAMERD that this is in, the Columbia River West area LAMERD. On June 11, 2026, a SEPA determination of non-significance was issued for this project. Comments were due on June 25, 2026. It was posted on the SEPA register under the SEPA number 2026-02464. The SEPA is a non-project zone change environmental review. The Planning and Building Department received no comments from surrounding property owners and residents within the county. The county did receive a comment from Department of Ecology stating that any groundwater development proposal that will withdraw water in excess of 5,000 gallons per day for single or group domestic supply or for industrial purpose or for irrigation or more than one half will require a permit from the Department of Ecology. Staff received comment from Public Works stating that an approach permit is required for access to Franklin County roads. Any utility extension crossing Franklin County roads will be addressed at the time of application. Here are the recommended findings of fact. The proposal is in accordance with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan land use designation is Rural Shoreline Development Lammerd under the Columbia River West Lammerd. Rezoning the parcel from RC5 to RC1 is consistent with the underlying comprehensive plan designation. The effect of the proposal on the immediate vicinity will not be materially detrimental. The surrounding properties are also within the Columbia River West Lammerd, where rural community uses exist. There is merit and value in the proposal for the community as a whole. Rezoning the property to RC1 will allow these lots to be subdivided into smaller lots, which will support housing needs within the county. Conditions will not be required to be imposed in order to mitigate any significant adverse impacts for the proposal. And a concomitant agreement is not being entered into between the county and the petitioner. Here is the suggested motion. I move to forward ZC 2026-04, SEPA 2026-06 to the Board of County Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on the 5 suggested findings of fact. Thank you.
Does any commissioner have any questions of staff? Does the applicant or applicant's representative wish to speak or give a presentation? Is there any in-person public testimony? Email public testimony?
No, Mr. Chairman, there is not.
Does staff have any final comments?
No final comments.
I will entertain a motion to close the public comment.
Second. Or so moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner DeRuiter, second by Commissioner Knifton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The public testimony portion of public hearing ZC 2026-04, SEPA 2026-06 is closed. Is there any discussion from the Planning Commission members? I will entertain a motion.
I move to forward ZC 2026-04 SEPA 2026-06 to the Board of County Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on the 5 suggested findings of fact.
I will second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Knifton and seconded by Commissioner Gutierrez to forward ZC 2026-04, SEPA 2026-06 to the Board of County Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on the 5 suggested findings of fact. Is there any discussion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
Mark DeRuiter,
Yes.
Manny Gutierrez,
Yes.
Stacy Knifton,
Yes.
Joel Prantle. Yes. Mr. Chairman, the motion is passed.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing on item 1.
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner DeRuiter, seconded by Commissioner Prantle. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The public hearing is closed. Item 2 is a public hearing for VAR 2026-1 River Ranch Golf Course Parking Lot Landscaping. The request is for a variance from the FCC 17.74.070 parking lot landscaping standards. The applicant is requesting to remove the requirement of providing a shade tree for every 200 square feet of required landscape area. The applicant is proposing to utilize shrub, step, and other native plants for the landscaping, which can reach a height of 6 a reach of height of 8 to 10 feet instead of shade trees. I declare the public hearing for VAR 2026-1 open at 6:13. May we have staff present the staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. I will present the staff report for variance 2026-01 for the River Ranch Golf Course parking lot landscaping variance. Before I start, I would like to remind the Commissioners that generally when it comes to any other kind of permits, such as zone changes, CUPs, or subdivisions, we do provide suggested findings of fact and suggested motions. But since variances are deviations from standards, we currently do not have any suggested findings of facts or motions. And you as commissioners will be the ones to provide the findings of fact. The variance 2026-01 is located in parcel numbers 108060057, 108060075, 108060042, 108060043, 108060064, 108060045, 108060058, 108060046, and 108060047. The current zoning is AP20 and the comp plan use is agricultural. The property size is approximately 299.4 acres. Here is the location description. It is generally located south of Pasco Colotes Road, north and south of Levy Road, west of Rogers Road, adjacent to Levy Park and the Snake River. The request is for a variance from Franklin County Code 17.74.070 for parking lot landscaping standards that requires a shade tree for every 200 square feet of required landscapes. The applicant is proposing to utilize instead shrub step and other native plants for landscaping, which can reach a height of 8 to 10 feet instead of shade trees. Here is the location, the vicinity map of where it is located. The applicant submitted a variance request to deviate from the parking lot landscaping standards to use native shrubs or shrub step for landscaping instead of shade trees. The applicant stated that their intent is to reestablish the native ecosystem and allow the architecture and golf course to have a minimal footprint on the land. The native ecosystem, shrub step, does not include shade trees. The largest plants typically found in the ecosystem are sagebrush, which can reach a height of 8 to 10 feet. The applicant also stated that using native shrub step vegetation will allow for minimal irrigation for the establishment and maintenance of the landscape. Due to the location of the property near the edge of the bluff overlooking the Snake River, the prevailing winds and natural conditions of the site present a challenge for the establishment of shade trees. High winds present a safety concern due to limb and trunk damage, and the arid conditions will require higher amounts of irrigation to establish the root system. As part of the special use permit SUP 2025-01 to allow for the River Ranch Golf Course, a critical areas report was required by the Planning and Economic Development Director to mitigate for shrub step that will be disturbed per the development. The critical areas report received in May 2026 identified a total of 5.66 acres of shrub step habitat as being disturbed as part of the grading for the golf course. The report recommended a mitigation ratio of 2-to-1, which is equivalent to about 11.31 acres of shrub step that needs to be reestablished on the site. The property owner and applicant is proposing to create and reestablish 66.4 acres of shrub step habitat. Here is the parking landscaping site plan. They are planning on landscaping these areas in the green, and this is where their golf clubhouse is located. And I believe this is the existing Levy Road and their new proposed road. The Planning and Building Department received no comments from surrounding property owners and residents within the county. The department received a comment from Franklin Conservation District. They said that cultivated tree varieties typically considered shade trees experience low survival rates under the Columbia Basin's unique climate and soil conditions due to drought or high heat stress, blown down, lack of nutrients or exposure. Establishing and maintaining non-native shade trees and most native trees are unlikely to support water conservation objectives. Utilizing native shrub-steppe vegetation will not only reduce water use by more than 60% compared to conventional landscaping, but it will also support native populations of wildlife and pollinators, reduce the need for fertilizer inputs, and will be more resilient to extreme climate events. Here are the findings of fact. We will go through them and we'll go back to the slides one by one when you make your findings of fact determinations. You have to determine whether or not an exceptional or extraordinary circumstance apply to the property which do not apply generally to other properties in the same zoning district or vicinity and result from lot size, shape, topography, or other circumstances over which the applicant has no control. Number two, the variance is or is not necessary for the preservation of property rights of the applicant, substantially the same as is possessed by owners of other property in the same zoning district or vicinity. The granting of the variance will or will not materially affect the health or safety of people residing or working in the neighborhood and will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injury to property or improvements in the neighborhood. And lastly, the variance would or would not be materially detrimental to the intent of this chapter or the property in the same zoning district or vicinity in which the property is located, or otherwise conflict with the objectives of any county plan or policy, and the variance requested is the minimum variance which would alleviate the hardships. As I mentioned before, we will not be suggesting a motion, so I have both motions on this slide for when we get to the motion part. That will be my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any commissioner have any questions of staff? Does the applicant or applicant's representatives wish to give a presentation?
Mr. Chairman, they should be available via phone. Florida, do you come in?
I am here, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't getting any volume for the minute there.
All right, gentlemen, can you hear him all right?
No?
Okay. All right, would you mind introducing yourself?
My name is Mark Cloney. I am with ELM Architects and Landscape Architects in Jacksonville, Florida.
Thank you. Do you have a presentation or anything to say?
I don't have anything specific. Did the planning department present kind of their or our application?
Yes, they did.
All right. I didn't hear that portion, so I'm not sure what all they covered. I don't have a specific presentation. If any of y'all have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any email public testimony?
No, Mr. Chairman, there's not.
Does staff have any final comments?
No final comments, Mr. Chairman.
I will entertain a motion to close the public comment.
So moved.
I will second.
Been moved by Commissioner DeRuiter and seconded by Commissioner Gutierrez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The public testimony portion of a public hearing variance 2026-1 is closed at 6:23. Is there any discussion from the Planning Commission members? We will now discuss the criteria for findings of fact, and we'll go through it one by one to make the motion. Staff will put the findings up one by one. We're just going to discuss each one. We're not going to vote on each one, correct?
You will need to make the determination on whether they do or do not as a group.
So we're going to vote.
Yes.
Okay. I don't see any extraordinary circumstances. Does anybody else?
No.
Okay, so we're voting for do not apply to the property, correct? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we agree to this one. Next.
So, Chairman, just to be clear, whether or not it's exceptional or extraordinary, so if you want to agree to it, if you want to find that the variance is approved, you need to say that it does have
So
exceptional.
do,
Yes.
okay, so
do.
we just flunked it.
I was
Okay,
gonna say, I thought
everybody in
that.
favor of do, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Next. The variance is or is not necessary for the preservation of property rights of the applicant substantially the same as possessed by owners of other property in the same zoning district.
For this one, if you want to approve the variance, you need to say that it is.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The granting of the variance will or will not materially affect the health or safety of people residing or working in the neighborhood and will not materially will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injury to the property or improvements in the neighborhood.
You will have to say it will not to be able to
Yeah,
grant the variance.
Obviously. All in favor of will not?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, all opposed? Motion passes. Now I will entertain a motion on the whole thing.
Then
Oh,
one more.
Oh, there's four?
This would not.
The variance would not be material detrimental to the intent of this chapter or the property in the same zoning district or vicinity in which the property is located or otherwise conflict with the objectives of any county plan or policy, and the variance requested is the minimum variance which would alleviate the hardship.
You will have to say that it would not.
This is a hardship?
It is to alleviate, it is the minimum variance required to alleviate the hardship.
Gotcha.
That's why you have to make the findings that it is indeed a hardship.
Okay. All in favor?
Of would not. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Now, a motion on the main thing.
I move to forward VAR 2026-01 to the Board of County Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on the 4 suggested findings of fact.
It has been moved by Commissioner DeRuiter and seconded by Commissioner Knifton to move forward variance 2026-1 to the Board of County Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on the 5 findings of fact. Is there any discussion? May we have a roll call vote?
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
Mark DeRuiter,
Yes.
Manny Gutierrez.
Yes.
Stacy Knifton. Yes. Joel Prantle. Yes. Mr. Chairman, the motion is passed.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing on item number 2.
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Knifton, seconded by Commissioner Prantle. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The public hearing is closed. Item 3 is a public hearing for variance 2026-2 Ortiz maximum DADU size. The request is for a variance from the standards in FCC 17.66.060, accessory dwelling units detached. The property owner currently has an existing manufactured home on the property that is approximately 2,200 square feet in size and wants to convert the existing structure into a detached accessory dwelling unit to build a new home on the property. The applicant is requesting to exceed the maximum DADU's size standard of 1,600 square feet to allow the existing manufactured home to be converted into a DADU. I declare the public hearing for variance 2026-2 to be open at 6:28. May we have staff present the staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. This is for variance 2026-02 for the Ortiz DADU maximum size variance. The property is located at 361 Coltsfoot Road, Pasco, Washington, 99301, with a parcel number of 110-142-113, with a current zoning of rural residential 5 acres. The property size is approximately 4.99 acres. It is generally located south of Park Hill Lane and Coltsfoot Road, west of Desert Meadows Lane and Ice Harbor Road, and north of O'Brien Road and Jessica Road in unincorporated Franklin County. Like mentioned, the request is to deviate from the accessory dwelling unit's detached maximum size standards of 1,600 to allow the existing manufactured home of 2,200 square feet to be converted into a DADU. Here is the location of the site. The applicant submitted a variance to request for the deviation of the 1,600-foot maximum DADU standards to allow for the existing manufactured home of approximately 2,200 square foot in size, and wants to convert the existing structure into a DADU in order to build a new home on the property. On June 10, 2025, the Planning and Economic Development Department received a building permit for a detached accessory structure, which is just a shop, at 361 Coltsfoot Road, Pasco, Washington, 99301. The permit packet was not complete, and staff requested information from the applicant, QSO. The permit was not deemed complete until August 12, 2025. On August 21, 2025, staff approved the original site plan for a proposed 45-foot by 36-foot shop with a 48-foot by 38-foot shop, as shown in the next slide. No plumbing was proposed for this original shop. Here is the site plan that was originally approved in August of 2025. The submitted contractor information sheet showed NA for plumbing, since no plumbing was proposed and approved by staff. The permit was issued on September 18th, 2025 to the applicant for a DAS with no plumbing. On November 3, 2025, staff needed to do a second review since the property owner wanted to expand the detached accessory structure to have an additional 30-foot by 36-foot shop, as shown on the next slide. A new plan review needed to be done by staff as part of this change. No plumbing was proposed as part of this addition. Here is the updated site plan approved in November of 2025. Regarding the code violation, around the end of March 2026, staff received a phone call from the property owner's friend asking for a plumbing inspection. The issued DAS permit was not approved for any plumbing since it wasn't part of the construction plans. A building inspector went on site to check on the construction and confirmed that plumbing was indeed done. The building inspector red tagged the construction work on site and issued a stop work order on March 31st, 2026. On April 3rd, 2026, QSO submitted a conditional use permit application to convert the existing main dwelling, which is a factory assembled structure, into a detached accessory dwelling unit. Staff did not take in the application since the size of the existing dwelling unit is over the maximum allowable DADU size of 1,600 square feet. Based on the assessor's appraisal data, you can see on the here the width to length is 27 by 65, which is over the 1,600 square feet requirement. Here is also the property image of the dwelling, the existing manufactured home. The double wide itself is 1755 square feet. There is also a tag along that's added onto the existing manufactured home of 442 square feet, which effectively makes it close to 2,200 square feet as it currently exists for living space. On April 20, 2026, staff had a meeting with QSO and Matt Martins, which is the applicant of this variance. The property owner was not present during the meeting. The meeting was to discuss what can be done in order to allow the existing FAS to be converted into a DADU. The applicant and QSO explained that the homeowner wants to convert the shop that's currently being built into a barn dominium. The plan is for him to live in the barn dominium and move his aging parents into the existing FAS. The permit issued was only for a detached shop and not for a barn dominium. The owner is currently not permitted to build a barn dominium on the property. During the meeting, staff informed QSO and the applicant that since this is a factory assembled structure, they will need to contact Washington Department of Labor and Industries to see if they can make changes to the structure to reach the maximum 1,600 square foot DADU requirement. Staff also explained that they may also make changes to reduce the size of proposed living space of the barn dominium to meet the maximum size of 1,600 square feet and designate that as a DADU. On May 16, 2026, the applicant submitted a variance request to deviate from the maximum size standard for DADU of 1,600 square feet. The request is to allow for the existing FAS to be used as a DADU and not need to remove parts of the FAS to meet the minimum size requirement. Per the submitted application and written narrative, the applicant is requesting a legal variance to be allowed to finish construction on a barn dominium. Staff would like to note that a barn dominium was not originally permitted on the property. The initially issued permit authorized only a detached accessory structure or shop. A subsequent permit update was approved for an additional unfinished shop. Notably, neither structure was approved for plumbing installation or for living space. Consequently, this variance request cannot authorize the continuation of construction on the barn dominium as the structure lacks a reviewed or approved building permit. The owner states that the intent is to move their immediate family into the unfinished structure once completed and move their elderly parents into the existing residence. The owner states that his parents are currently struggling financially and dealing with multiple medical conditions and regularly assist them with their living expenses and care. In order to comply with the maximum standards of the DADU, the property owner would be required to structurally modify the existing manufactured home. The maximum allowable size is 1,600 square feet, whereas the existing manufactured home measures approximately 2,200 square feet. Consequently, approximately 600 square feet of living space would need to be removed to meet code requirements. Because manufactured homes are built to uniform federal design standards with integrated structural support, any physical reduction in size requires structural re-engineering. This process is highly complex, cost prohibitive, and requires Washington State Department of Labor and Industries oversight to recertify the unit's structural integrity. The Planning and Building Department received 5 comments with a total of 20 signatories in opposition to this application, and we received 1 comment in support from surrounding properties and residents within the county. Andrew Cook said that he is concerned about the long-term impact this variance would have on our neighborhood and rural community. This variance would allow what is effectively a second full-size residence on the property. A 2,200 square foot detached dwelling is substantially larger than the county's maximum DADU size standard is comparable to many primary residences. He is also concerned about the precedent this variance would establish. Many property owners throughout Franklin County have complied with the adopted DADU standards, modified their plans to meet those requirements, or incurred additional expense to remain in compliance. granting a variance that exceeds the maximum size limit by approximately 600 square feet or 37.5%, creates the appearance that some property owners may receive exceptions to standards that others are expected to follow. If this request is approved, other property owners may reasonably seek similar exceptions, leading to gradual increases in residential density and development intensity throughout rural areas without broader review of the county's land use policies. Kelvin and Beverly Sable commented, we wish the very best for our neighbors, although we do have a few concerns as outlined below. If there is a new sewer system, is it according to code and spaced far enough away from our well? We have concerns about traffic on our roads entering our property, which includes O'Brien Road, Desert Meadow Lane, Coltsfoot Road. Is there a future desire from Mr. Ortiz moving his auto repair business to his residence? The newly built large metal building appears to have this potential. If so, this would certainly bring more traffic to the lanes and roads. Plus, there are already 15 plus vehicles, some abandoned on his property, which exceed our neighborhood's CCNR, which is not currently being enforced. Mickey Porter, Janet Rogers, Larry Linney, Fawn Williams, George Damrov, Riley Macbeth, Allison Macbeth, Jamie Macbeth, and Cynthia Keeling all commented the following. The applicant's request appears to be based primarily on convenience and desire to preserve an existing structure rather than a unique hardship associated with the property itself. The existence of a 2220 square foot manufactured home does not constitute a hardship warranting a variance. The owner currently possesses the property with full knowledge of the applicable development standards. A variance should not be granted simply because compliance would require modification, reduction, relocation, or removal of an existing structure. The request is not a minor deviation from county standards. The proposed DADU would exceed maximum permitted size by approximately 600 square feet, representing a 37.5% increase above the size limit established by Franklin County Code. Such a significant increase materially changes the character and intent of an accessory dwelling unit. A structure of this size is comparable to many primary residences. Approval of this variance may establish a precedent for future applicants seeking similar exceptions. Other property owners who have complied with county requirements may reasonably expect equal treatment, leading to additional requests that gradually erode the county's DADU regulations. The proposed variance would facilitate the creation of what is effectively a second full-sized residence on the property. While accessory dwelling units are permitted under county regulations, the size limitations are intended to ensure they remain secondary and do not substantially increase residential intensity. Approval of this request could increase daily vehicle traffic, deliveries, service vehicles, guests, and other activity associated with a second large residence. Franklin County's DADU regulations exist to balance property rights with preservation of rural land use patterns. The size restrictions help ensure that accessory dwellings remain subordinate to the primary residence and do not function as additional full-sized homes. Granting this variance would effectively allow two large residential structures on a single parcel where county regulations were designed to limit the scale and impact of accessory dwellings. Residents in this area have invested in their properties with expectation that Franklin County's development standards will be applied consistently and fairly. The rural character of the neighborhood is one of its defining features and contributes significantly to its desirability. The county's DADU size limitations help preserve that character by ensuring accessory structures remain clearly subordinate to primary residences. Many property owners throughout Franklin County have complied with the ADU size limitations or modified their plans to meet county requirements. Granting a substantial variance in this case would create unequal treatment among property owners and could undermine public confidence in the county's land use regulations. Variances are intended to address exceptional circumstances, not to provide reliefs from standards that may be inconvenient or costly to meet. The applicant has alternatives available that do not require a variance of this magnitude, including modifying the existing structure to comply with county standards or utilizing a smaller accessory dwelling that conforms to the adopted code requirements. Because reasonable alternatives exist, granting the variance does not appear necessary to preserve reasonable use of the property. Dale and Tammy Smith mentioned, we would like to formally convey our support for this exception. Mr. Ortiz shared his plan to move his elderly parents into the dwelling to assist with their care, an initiative we find admirable. As the property spans 5 acres, the additional 600 square feet of living space will not impact neighboring residences. The structure is not visible to anyone other than our household and a few properties to the south. Judith Van Holbeck mentioned that we purchased our properties understanding and accepting the covenants and restrictions that were in place. The main one being only 1 residence per 5-acre lot. We are very concerned that does not change. Kelvin and Vev Savold, Monica Van Holbeck, Wes Savold, Anthony Juliet, Jenny Van Holbeck, Judith Van Holbeck, Donald Brandsman, Mason, and Krista Douglas said, we, the owners, have signed this petition to not approve the variance request from maximum DADU size standards. We did not receive any other agency comments regarding this, but Planning and Economic Development does have comments. There is currently no active code enforcement request for investigation prior to the submission of the variance application. However, as part of any land use review, to the best of our ability, staff ensures that no existing code violations on site, and if there are any, all such violations are being addressed as part of the land use action. Vehicle limits must be followed regardless of whether this variance is approved or denied. Any vehicles exceeding these limits must be removed from the property. Operable 4, inoperable 2. Should these vehicles not be removed from the property, the department may pursue actions through code enforcement. To address concerns regarding a public comment submitted to staff, an auto repair business is not a permitted use in the RR5 zoning district. The detached accessory structure shop may not be used for the purpose whether this variance is approved or denied. If the variance is granted, the applicant or property owner must meet the following requirements before proceeding with the construction of the barn dominium. A septic permit shall be applied for and obtained from the Benton Franklin Health District for additional living space in the barn dominium. A building permit must be applied for and obtained for the barn dominium prior to starting or continuing any construction. If the variance is denied, the DADU must comply with the maximum 1,600 square foot living space limit. The owner must choose one of the following. Option A would be to reduce the size of the existing manufactured home to meet the 1,600 square foot limit. This requires proper engineering and approval from the Washington Department of Labor and Industries. Option B would be to remove the existing manufactured home via relocation or demolition and build or place a new DADU that complies with the 1,600 square foot limit. If the existing manufactured home is to be demolished, a demolition permit must be applied for. Option C would be to reduce the proposed barn dominium's living space to a maximum of 1,600 square feet and designate the barn dominium as the official DADU. This requires a new building permit review and approval prior to proceeding. Option D would be to keep the existing manufactured home as a primary dwelling and abandon the DADU application. The detached accessory shop must follow construction plans as submitted and approved with no living space and no plumbing. If the variance is denied and the property owner chooses option 4, which is keeping the manufactured home as is and not building a DADU, All unpermitted plumbing and groundwork installed for the living space must be completely removed. Construction must strictly follow the original detached accessory shop plans as submitted and approved by the Franklin County Planning and Economic Development Department. No changes may be made to those approved shop plans without prior review and written approval from the department. And then the next few slides will be the findings of fact criteria that you will need to make. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So, if we go through all these and vote in favor, then it pretty much says we're approving
The variance.
the thing.
Yes.
If any of these do not go through,
You will have to forward a negative recommendation if any one of these you does not agree.
what?
The applicant.
But we still have questions. Is there any questions of staff? No. Does the applicant or applicant's representative wish to speak or give a presentation? Come on up.
My name is Jose Ortiz, and I want to build this building primarily because my parents are older, and I need to keep them nearby. Because as a heritage, we Hispanics carry, and they're in Prosser. I have to give them a couple $100 every 2 weeks to keep going. My dad doesn't work. My mom never worked. She doesn't drive. I will never bring my business. I have a automotive repair shop in Kennewick. I would never take that business over there. It would kill my business. I'm established in Kennewick. Everybody knows me over there. People say that traffic. My dad's 65 years old. My mom don't drive. Should he be the only driver out there? That's it. I mean, a couple of days ago, I'm driving home and I'm driving 15 miles an hour or 10. And my son goes, slow down. I'm going as slow as I can, trying not to make dust all over the place. They respect my neighbors. I didn't think my neighbor loved me so much, but it is what it is. But I never had intent to move my shop or anything out there. I just want to put my parents, and I have, but those cars are abandoned. I have a lot of classic cars, and that's why my son and we build them together. My closest neighbor, the one next to me, to the south side of me, can you read this for me? You read a lot better than me.
This is, just want to put this in the record for extra public comments. To whom it may concern, I am submitting this correspondence in reference to variance application VOR 2026-02 concerning the dwelling located at 361 Coltsfoot Road, Franklin County, Washington. My property, located at 360 O'Brien Road, shares a boundary with the applicant's parcel. Specifically, my northern property line adjoins with Mr. Ortiz's southern property line. After reviewing the notice and speaking directly with Mr. Ortiz, I wish to formally state my support for the requested variance. Mr. Ortiz has explained that the purpose of the additional living space is to accommodate his elderly parents so he may provide ongoing care. This represents a reasonable and commendable use of the property. The parcel in question encompasses approximately 5 acres, and the proposed 600 square foot expansion presents no adverse impacts to my property. The structure does not encroach upon my use or enjoyment of my land and does not alter the character or density of the surrounding area. Based on these considerations, I find no basis for objection and affirm that the variance would not negatively affect neighboring properties. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Respectfully, Keith A. Adams, 360 O'Brien Road, Pasco, Washington.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll make a copy of this one. Okay, you can keep it. Yeah, so the reason we build a shop like that, because we want to put our cars in there. We have a couple collectors that I've been collecting since 10, 15 years ago. So they think they're abandoned. They're just outside because I had no place to put them. So if you guys can let me build that shop, that would be great. Not only for the cars, but for my parents. That's the main thing. My mom called me last week and she told me, Mijo, how's the house coming? I had to tell her it's going according to plan. Everything's going great. Because I know if I tell her something else, it'll break her heart because they're struggling financially already. So if you have any questions, or I think my neighbor would like to say something, but if you have any questions for me.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If it's for both of you, I guess. The shop can be as big as it wants as long as the living quarters are smaller, correct?
They cannot have any living space in the shop until a DADU is
If they
approved.
get the DADU and it's only for 1,600 feet in the shop,
The shop
it will
can be as
pass.
big, yes.
Why don't you make it legal? Why don't you make the living quarters smaller?
We're trying to. That's why we're
There's
here.
nothing to try, you just do it. It'll solve all these problems.
I have to talk
I'm not
to-
telling you what to do, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just telling you that would be the easier route.
Yes, that'll be the easier route, because the house, my parents are gonna need the one we live in now.
But
the
that's not our
house-
business. You could
Yeah.
switch, flip-flop that. If you make the barn dominium smaller, everything's gonna be fine. If you wanna fight it, it's gonna be ugly probably.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you guys decide, I have to do. I mean, I'm at your mercy. You guys, that's why we're here.
But I don't think it's our decision. It's actually following the variance and code regulations that we have to follow by law,
That everybody else follows.
that everybody else around in your demographic
We do
area
these
has to
all the
follow.
time, all the time. All you gotta do is make the barn smaller. Not the barn, the living quarters.
Living quarters, yes. Yeah, I guess I'll talk to the company that built it, because I paid them, I told them what I wanted. They said, yep, we'll do it. And then when my buddy, the firefighter plumber, submitted the plumbing inspection, I called him, I go, hey, how come there's no permits? We're working on it right now.
Somebody that you have working for you dropped the ball.
The QSO,
Okay.
yeah. They just took my money, built the big shop, and I told them, I want this legal. I want everybody to know. Oh, yeah, everybody knows. But when people found out, well, we're working on it now. So, yeah, they tried to make the house, the mobile home smaller. They said, well, you have to go to Labor Industries. It's gonna create a mess
No,
there.
we understand all that. I'm just saying, the simple thing is to make the living quarters in the barn dominium smaller. And I'm not gonna say anymore, that's none of my
Okay.
business. So,
Yeah.
do you have anything else to say?
Nope, that's it for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody, okay. Any negative public testimony, or any more positive testimony? Is that how we do it? Positive first?
Yeah.
Either one. Any positive testimony? Any negative testimony? Go ahead. State your name and address.
Good evening. My name's Andrew Cook. I live on 301 Jessica Road, which is right next to this. I encourage the county to uphold the existing ADU standards. Everybody else around there has. There's a very strong opposition to this. A couple classic cars is not what's happening. That picture representing the property, it looks like Sanford and Sons. It's rotten. And our fear is this breaks down. You let one variance through like this, and pretty soon the culture of the neighborhood, everything it goes down the tank. So I would ask you to be fair, and uphold what you make everybody else follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, is there any email public testimony?
No, Mr. Chairman, there's not.
Staff have any final comments?
No final comments.
I will entertain a motion to close public comment.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner DeRuiter and seconded by Commissioner Knifton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, so we're going to go through, how many of these are there?
4.
And if we flunk one, it's done.
It's negative, yes.
Okay. Explain each one.
So you have to, yes. So you have to determine whether or not exceptional or extraordinary circumstances apply to the property, which do not apply generally to the properties in the same zoning district. Basically, you have to identify if there are circumstances that are beyond their control.
So if we say do not.
If you say
it's a
do
flunk.
not, it's,
Yes.
it's a flunk.
Okay, so how are we voting on this? I say, are we voting on do or do not?
I'm voting do not.
Okay, all in favor of do not?
Aye.
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 So we just flunked it. So we're done. You don't have to do any more.
So I got a question. Can I still add a
Any-
question?
Please.
Is there any stipulation on any other variances that will specify that Mr. Ortiz has to apply within the 1,600 square foot? Or is that something, a new application he has to send?
The next item on the agenda is CUP 2026-04, which is the DADU associated with this one.
With this one?
Yes,
For the 1,600 square feet?
yes.
Got it.
This wasn't
Okay.
even the DADU?
No, this is just a variance
This is
to
a
allow
variance.
for it.
Guacamole. So now we're gonna do the next one. We're gonna vote on what?
DADU,
Allowing the
allowing
1,600 square
allowing the
feet
detached accessory dwelling
for him to
unit.
do that?
He
Which is
hasn't,
what-
doesn't even have an,
Well, he's going to have to go back and make that happen if that's what he wants to
what's
do.
the DADU application for?
So regardless of whether or not the variance is approved or denied by the planning commission or the county commissioners, for them to be able to build the barn dominium or just have both of them, they still need to go through a DADU process.
The DADU process, doesn't that start with a blueprint with the square footage, correct?
Generally, yes. Yeah.
We already know that it's not correct?
So in this case, if you were to deny the variance, if I might, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
If you were to deny the variance and then approve the DADU, he'd be required to either go to LNI and modify that
Gotcha.
size down to 1,600 in order to get the permit for the barn dominium, or he'd have to take that off and he could put a new unit on, whether stick-built or an FAS, that meets the proper sizing requirements.
Or reduces square footage of the barn dominium living quarters.
That would be a separate option that he could take if you if you deny this and approve the DADU.
We already denied this.
So, well, technically, you're not the decision makers. So you asked, do I have to go through all findings of fact? And my recommendation would, yes, because this goes to the county commissioners as a recommendation. So they probably would like to know what your opinion is on each of the findings of fact.
Good.
So I can present that to
So we
them
go through all
appropriately.
the,
All four,
all
yeah.
four, and then.
And then
we
make a
go-
vote
Made a vote.
finally.
And then DADU, got it.
Go ahead, next.
Thank
Next
you.
one, the variance is or is not necessary for the preservation of the property rights.
Is not is a flunk.
Yes.
All in favor of is not? Aye.
Aye, yeah.
Motion is not.
The
Next.
granting of the variance will or will not materially affect the health or safety of the people residing or working in the neighborhood.
I would say
So
I
you,
would say will not.
they will not.
All in favor of will not?
Aye.
Aye. Motion will not passes.
the variance would or would not be materially detrimental to the intent of this chapter or the properties in the same zoning district or vicinity in which the property is located.
Well, not.
Would?
So you have to identify if there really is a hardship present on the,
Okay, we're gonna vote
Property.
on would. Would flunks it, right?
would not.
Would not.
Would not be material detrimental.
Oh, actually, yeah, it would.
Would flunks it.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor of would? Aye. Would passes. Okay, so now we're gonna pass a negative motion, which we have never done. Can I have a motion?
I move to forward VAR 2026-02 to the Board of County Commissioners with a negative recommendation based on the 4 suggested findings of fact.
I will second.
Been moved by Commissioner DeRuiter, seconded by Commissioner Gutierrez, to forward variance 2026-2 to the Board of County Commissioners with a negative recommendation based on the 5 findings of fact. Is there any discussion? May we have a roll call vote?
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
Mark DeRuiter,
Yes.
Manny Gutierrez.
Yes.
Stacy Knifton,
Yes.
Joel Prantle.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion has passed.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing on item 3. Been moved by Commissioner Knifton, seconded by Commissioner Prantle. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Public hearing is closed. Item 4 is public hearing for CUP 2026-4 Ortiz DADU. The request is for a detached accessory dwelling unit on the property to provide sufficient housing for the applicant to care for their parents. I declare the public hearing for CUP 2026-4 to be open at 7:04. May we have staff present the staff report, please?
Good evening, Commissioners. I can go through the presentation if you want, or we can just skip to the,
Skip.
because it's the exact same thing.
Good idea.
We'll skip to the suggested, just so you know, there are no public comments in opposition for them having a DADU. The opposition was mainly to, to not follow the maximum standards of the variance, the DADU standards. The same comments apply for the public and planning and economic development. We received no other agency comments. The suggested findings of fact is the proposal is in accordance with the goals and policies of the county development regulations and applicable comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan land use is rural remote. The zoning code designates the land as RR5 or rural residential 5 acres. The construction of a DADU requires a CUP under FCC 1766.060D. The proposal will not adversely affect public infrastructure. Public Works Department did not comment, so they were not concerned about any proposed use will have any significant impact on the county road system. The proposal will be constructed, maintained, and operated in harmony with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity. The existing and intended character of the area is rural residential 5 acres as defined by the Franklin County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed DADU will not generate excessive traffic, noise, or light and will not interfere with residential or agricultural activities on surrounding properties. The proposed DADU will not have a negative impact on the intended character or of the general vicinity and surrounding properties. The location and height of the proposed structure and site design will not discourage the development of permitted uses on the property in the general vicinity or impair the value thereof. The proposed DADU shall not exceed the maximum building height of an accessory building in the RR5 zone, which has a maximum building height of 35 feet. The operation in connection with the proposal will not be more objectionable to nearby properties by reasons of noise, fumes, vibrations, dust, traffic, or flashing lights than would be the operation of any permitted uses within the district. The proposal will not endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare if located where proposed. The DADU will not have a negative impact on public health, safety, and general welfare. The DADU will be required to comply with the health district and public works regarding health and access or safety standards for the proposed use. Suggested conditions of approval comply with the requirements of Franklin County Planning and Economic Development, and the rest of the 12 conditions are the same conditions that we apply to every DADU in the county. Suggested motion is I move to forward CUP 2026-04 to the Board of County Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on the 6 suggested findings of fact and 13 conditions of approval. Thank you.
You. Does any commissioner have any questions of staff? Does the applicant wish to speak? Is there any any more in-person testimony? Is there any email public testimony?
No, Mr. Chairman, there's not.
Does staff have any final comments?
No final comments.
I will entertain a motion to close the public comment.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner DeRuiter and seconded by Commissioner Knifton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Public testimony portion of public hearing CUP 2026-4 is closed. Is there any discussion from the Planning Commission members? I will entertain a motion.
I move to forward CUP 2026-04 to the Board of County Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on 6 suggested findings of fact and 13 conditions of approval.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Gutierrez and seconded by Commissioner DeRuiter that we move forward CUP 2026-4 to the Board of County Commissioners with a positive recommendation based on the 6 suggested findings of fact and 13 conditions of approval. Is there any discussion? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mike Corrales,
Yes.
Mark DeRuiter,
Yes.
Manny Gutierrez,
Yes.
Stacy Knifton,
Yes.
Joel Prantle.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion is passed.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing on item 4.
So moved.
I will second.
Been moved by Commissioner Knifton, seconded by Commissioner Gutierrez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Public hearing is closed. Comprehensive Plan Update. Everybody can leave if they want to.
Or you can stay. Trying to encourage public comment in the comp plan.
Oh, well, I didn't tell them to leave. I said they could leave. Good luck.
Good evening. Been a while since I've seen some of you. I'm Millyanne Van Devender. I work for AHBL in the office here in Pasco. We've been contracting off and on with Franklin County for about 8 years now. And most recently, we're helping you, Franklin County, with your comprehensive plan update. So that's what brings me here tonight. I know at least 2 of you have been through this process before. Has anybody else actually ever cracked open the comprehensive plan, familiarized yourself with it? Do you know what it is? It's the 20-year vision roadmap for the county, right? And it has to be updated every so often. The state dictates when it has to be updated, and your current update is due at the end of this year. So we've been pretty far in the weeds working on it so far, drafting things. And as I go through my presentation, I'll say things like, we updated this, we changed this, we revised this, and that there's nothing set in stone. That just is what we've drafted so far, working with your staff. So with that, we're going to talk about public participation, which is a required component of this. We're going to talk about the introduction to the draft, introduction to the comprehensive plan, the historical and cultural element, and the natural environment element. An element is just another word for chapter. So public outreach, Like I said, that's a required component of your comprehensive plan. Making the decision is a legislative decision, and you want the public involved. And it's required for updates under state law. And the state, like I said, mandates when you have to update it, but they also, Department of Commerce gives out, often gives out grant money to help pay for those updates. And then this year, there is a new climate element that's required. And so the comprehensive plan update is supported by Climate Commitment Act funds as well. So I'm going to go through some of the public outreach and opportunities for the public to get involved and to make comments. We hosted with your staff and HBL worked together to host open house events. There were 3 of them. There was one, they were all in April. There was one at Pasco High School, one at Connell High School, and one at Markham Elementary. It was an effort to get out into the county and to meet people where they are, rather than always bringing people here. We had some attendance at those events, it's noted on the slide. And then there were posters, so that they were all sort of open house events in the library at the high school, for instance, and we put up posters. I brought some of them over here to give you examples of what was shown. We had some interactive activities, and then lots of opportunity for discussion and Q&A, and a lot of picking of Wes's brain. And then there was a poster on data, so population growth and demographics, which is what your updates should be based on for your comprehensive plan. The state Office of the OFM issues population projections for the next 20 years. And so the county chooses which population projection to take. You know, are we going to shoot for the moon and have a really high population growth? Are we going to have, do we think we're going to have a low population growth? And then once you've chosen low, medium, or high, then you can start to fill in the gaps and figure out where and how your land use should be planned for the next 20 years. So a lot of that information is on the poster in the middle, a lot of that data, and that'll be incorporated into the comprehensive plan too, to show what it's based on. And then there was some comprehensive plan basics on the poster on the right. And then the poster on the left is to show what went on 20 years ago, just to give people an idea or to get them in the mindset of, this is what happened 20 years ago, think about where we could be 20 years from now. There was a lot of really good input from those open house meetings. You know, there were comments, somebody wanted more RV parks, somebody said cluster development along the Snake River with limitations, provide public river access. There were lots of different comments. Tried to capture those. Those will get incorporated into the comprehensive plan. One of the activities that we had set up for everybody, you're supposed to provide in your comprehensive plan, one of the state rules is that you have to define your rural character if you're a rural county. And so we had this poster, you can see it on the right there, that says what best describes Franklin County's character, and we had people put a thumb up sticker or a thumb down sticker on which of the prompts they agreed with, you know, close to nature, not rushed, not busy, close knit, etc. We also put out a public survey. And I have another PowerPoint presentation that I can give on that Wes has asked me to run through for you. And that's what's in your hands right there, are the results from that survey. We had prepared the PowerPoint for your June meeting, and then that was canceled. So in the interest of time, I can go through that quickly tonight. So for the public survey, county staff and HBL worked closely to prepare and deploy a survey. It was on the social media, the Social Point platform. And that survey could be taken on a desktop, from a mobile device, or on paper. There were paper copies. We had a few people fill those out and turn them in. And it was open from March 31st to May 11th of this year, 2026. And then if you lose the paper in front of you, or if anybody else would like to see those results, you can go to the website, which is it's listed there on the slide. That I should also say that the website is still live, and We continuously update it. We provided the meeting materials for tonight are posted on the website, the PowerPoint presentations, there's a place where people can enter their email address if they want to hear about meetings, to be informed, to stay informed about it. And then any additional meetings would be advertised there as well.
Plus, you can put comments there.
Yes, thank you. So the next couple of slides, 2 or 3 slides, we'll talk about the different elements. So the introduction and some general updates. General changes throughout, improved the grammar and word use, just low-hanging fruit to improve readability, tried to streamline where we can. We updated outdated information, updated links to current references, in the process of replacing maps so that they're nice and fresh and updated. And then there's a proposed reorganization of elements. So the chapters are being broken into 2 volumes. So you'll have the goals and policies in 1 volume and the analysis, the background information in a 2nd volume. And then there's a proposed rewrite of all the goals and policies. So that's generally throughout each of the chapters. Background information that's included in the introduction to the comprehensive plan. There will be 1 volume that will have the countywide planning policies, and those were adopted in late last year in 2025 by the Board of County Commissioners. The county commissioners and all the cities within Franklin County sat down and hashed those out and then got them adopted. The introduction also includes the legal framework for the plan and the plan's purpose, and then some plan implementation strategies. Another big aspect of the introduction is that it includes a vision statement. Your comprehensive plan is a good opportunity, your update to your comprehensive plan is a good opportunity to update your vision statement. I won't read it to you unless you want me to. It's right there. We did ask on the survey if people believe or feel that the vision statement reflects their values, identity, and aspirations for the future of Franklin County. 72% of respondents to the survey said they agree with it, and 20% said it needs improvements. This is absolutely something that we can come back to tonight or at a different meeting if you feel that the vision statement needs work. Moving on to the historical and cultural resources element or chapter. So the general changes in that chapter, they're proposed updates to the list of National Register of Historic Places and Washington Heritage roster sites. I believe 2, maybe 3 properties were added to that since the last update around 2022. They were added both in Pasco. There's a proposed new section about the Historic Preservation Grant Program that's funded by fees received from document recording. The commissioners just put that into action. And there's a proposed section about cultural resource review requirements for state and federally funded projects. So anything that gets state or federal funding has to go through the DOP, Department of Archaeology Historic Preservation review. And then finally, the natural environment element. General changes in that one. We moved or proposed moving the soil information to the resource lands sub-element. So it seemed like a more logical place. Talking about the soils is one of the ways that you designate resource lands. Seemed logical to move it there. And then propose some updated language to describe shrub steppe habitat. There will be further improvements to this element once we get more information from Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. They're going to come out with more information about shrub steppe habitat. We removed the list of state status for each species and instead included a reference and link to the DFW statewide PHS list, priority habitats and species list, just streamline it. And then moved all information about wildfire risk and the wildland urban interface to the new climate element. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. We've listed Wes's name here and email. There's the project website. And then did you want me to run through the survey results?
I think if you run through the other slide presentation real quick.
Is it on here? Is it loaded on here?
It's on there, I believe. It's on the flash drive. And that way we can put it on the website and make sure that it's available to the public.
Okay.
For the record. you finding it?
I have it open. That.
There you go.
Ooh, I learned something new. Okay, so let's see how quickly I could get through this. It's not advancing here. Have I hit that? Oh.
Yes. Can you speak in the mic so people can hear?
In 2035 or something like that, is it going to be something similar to where they'll probably have a new state mandated one?
So-
it never gets to its full maturation.
So as of right now, the way the law reads, it was an 8-year cycle. Now it's moved to a 10-year cycle.
Okay.
So in 2036,
Okay.
you'll probably update it again for a new 20-year vision.
Okay.
There is, however, the opportunity to update your comprehensive plan once a year. We'll have a docketing process for doing that. Regulations are not the same requirement for that, but the comp plan is once a year.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a good question. So you saw that one. Saw that one about open house events. There are the open house materials, which I also brought you. Okay, so this goes into a little more detail about the survey and the advertisement for the survey. It was advertised in English and Spanish. Franklin County Planning and Economic Development Facebook page was posted there. It was posted on the project website. It was published in the Franklin County Graphic, in the legal ad and articles, and in paid inserts for the advertisement. And the woman who runs the Franklin County Graphic came to one of the open house meetings and then actually wrote an article about the Franklin County Comprehensive Plan after she had been to the open house. So that was really good press, good coverage. And then there was also some media coverage, the Apple Valley News, Keeper Action News, and KNDO News. Wes did some interviews for it. So it was well publicized. It was carefully reviewed and tested prior to the launch. There were 47 completed surveys, so it was not statistically valid because there was no sampling and respondents opted into taking the survey. We did collect basic demographic info to compare with countywide data, so in order to determine what segments of the community participated. There were 38 questions, and the themes were, tell us a little bit about you, our community, comprehensive plan update, climate action, transportation, and planning approaches. And then it was available in 15 languages via Google Translate. So there was a real effort to publicize it, to try to get it out there, and to make it accessible. Mostly multiple choice, ranking, rating, a few open-ended questions, and then results are presented as a composite score, overall ranking, etc. Questions like, do you currently live in Franklin County? This tells you of the people who took it, 87% live here. 18 of those live in the city of Pasco, 10 are in western Franklin County, 6 in Connell, etc. Asked other demographic questions. How long have you lived here? Ranged from 1 to 60 years. The most common response was 7 years, and the average was 23. And then where did you move from prior to Franklin County? Just more interesting information about, who's taking this. It was all pretty even split, people that moved here. Why did you move to Franklin County? 14 people said work, 14 said family, etc. More information, what describes you? I'm retired, 15 people said. 9 people said they own or operate a business locally. The ages, looks like most of the people who responded are 45 to 54 years of age. And then close near to that was 65 to 74. The people who responded said that on average 2.75 people live in their household. And then 86.7% of respondents claimed white or Caucasian. And 6.7% Hispanic or Latino. And just pointing out, 56% of the county population is Hispanic. And then asked about income. Looks like pretty high respondent to 100,000 to 149.9. Okay, on average, how many hours do you ordinarily spend in a normal month attending or taking part in any kind of organized group activity or event not associated with your job that involves other members of the Franklin County community? So do you hang out with people in the county? And most people said less than 1 hour per month. How do you rate your overall connection to Franklin County community? They said 48% said somewhat connected. How would you like to be more involved? Online participation via web-based meetings and feedback opportunities was the highest response. And how would you rank your quality of life in Franklin County? Most people said above average. And then we asked about impact your quality of life. And people said farming. It's peaceful, no crime in our area. We have privacy. We don't want that jeopardized, etc. People listed other factors that most significantly impact their quality of life. They said traffic. It's a good place to walk, be with family. Medical is excellent. Enjoy community activities, social events, grandchildren. Lots of good information here and responses. I'm not going to read every single one. Proximity to rivers and hiking, open space, gorgeous farmland, wonderful community, etc. And then there were some people ranked it as average. They listed out things. Just go through these quickly. Below average, listed out some stuff. Okay. And then people were asked, what are the top 3 things about Franklin County that you value? 21 said less busy, relaxed lifestyle, rural setting, and the community/people. Those were the top 3 votes. This is the one about the vision statement. Most people said seems good to them. And then the top issues, if you were to identify the top 3 issues facing Franklin County today, what would it be? Residential development increasing too fast, local traffic problems, parentheses within Franklin County, and decline of rural character. Those were the top 3 concerns. 5 most important over the next 5 years issues: residential development increases too fast, local traffic, decline of rural character, lack of housing choices. Down from there. What should Franklin County prioritize for improvement? Government accountability and efficiency was the highest one, with ensuring natural environment protection and stewardship coming in second. Then there were a lot of questions, or there was a series of questions about climate hazards, which was really helpful to create the climate element, or to contribute to the climate element. So people were asked, how concerned are you about the impact in Franklin County of each hazard? And then it was filled out thusly. People were very concerned about wildfire damage, extreme heat, etc. You were asked to rank climate hazards. How do you think climate hazards could impact the economic sector? Agriculture and food systems was a big one. People were somewhat concerned about the others. I'll just go through these pretty quickly. And then people were asked about transportation. Doesn't appear that a lot of the respondents own electric cars, but a lot of them walk. Asked about bicycle, how do you get to work? Lots of different transportation information. And then they were asked about planning. Planning is an important responsibility to ensure a bright future for future generations. People agreed strongly with that. And so all of that information is in the handout that I gave you. I have a few more if anybody in the public wants a copy. This PowerPoint presentation is on the project website as well as the one that I gave a moment ago. Do you have any questions, comments? No decision needed for tonight. We'll continue to bring you this information about the different elements. And then eventually you'll hold a public hearing and make a recommendation whether to approve it and to forward it on to the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you for your time.
So I have one additional piece I want to add. So part of updating the comprehensive plan, it was recommended that Franklin County consider doing an EIS, which is an environmental impact statement, in their comp plan. The county had not previously done so. They had issued a DNS when they had previously done so. There are some advantages to doing an EIS exercise, like the SEPA thresholds. Without having done an EIS, it's you have to do an EIS in order to change your threshold determinations for exemptions from the SEPA process. So if you wanted to change your exemption from 500, say, cubic yards to do a SEPA for a grading permit to 600, you have to do an EIS. So by doing an EIS, that allows us future flexibility in the future. So on the 6th, we issued a determination of significance for an EIS and a scoping announcements. So I'm just going to kind of really quickly read it to you. Apologize, I can send copies out. I know we put it up. We just recently put it on the web and have sent it out. I don't know, they weren't sent to the Planning Commission, Alex? They were. They were? Okay, so you sent them today. Okay, but for the public's benefit, just since we know we're on a YouTube video and that'll help get the word out, Franklin County is in the process of preparing a periodic update to its comprehensive plan in accordance with the Growth Management Act by the end of December 2026. As part of the work, the county will include new comprehensive plan element, climate, as a result of the update process in accordance with the new state requirements. And then I'm going to skip the different options that are here. That again, that'll be available on multiple locations, including the website, and it's posted, I believe, on the site that we have for the update.
That's correct.
So I just want to announce this part, though. Agencies, affected tribes, members of the public are invited to comment on the scope of the EIS. You may comment on alternatives, mitigation measures, probable significant adverse impacts, and licenses or other approvals that may be required. The scoping meeting will be held right here on July 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. That's next Tuesday night. You're welcome to attend, gentlemen and ladies. We will be accepting all written comments submitted before 5 p.m. on August 5th, 2026 for the scoping process. So please feel free to spread that email that you got today with this notice on there. We've taken out advertisements in the Franklin County Graphic for the next 3 weeks on the scoping process, as well as it will appear in, help me out here, Tri-City Herald on Sunday as an advertisement. It's 6 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m. So, anything to add with that?
I have one more question on the survey. I was noticing is this the first time we do the survey, or is it done every single year prior to the comprehensive revision?
This is the this is the first one.
This is the first one. Okay. I was just looking at the numbers. The average seemed pretty low. I did see the public outreach, and I'm looking at the advertisement. And I don't know, maybe you can consider potentially on the next one, taking some alternative measures for public outreach. It just seemed like the numbers were pretty low on the people and the public responding to it, and maybe I'm just seeing the numbers incorrectly. But I saw that it was advertised on Facebook, and then the Plan Economic Development page, and the project website, Franklin County Graphics. Is that the only areas? And obviously, media coverage. It just seems like the social media is so big right now, where potentially maybe there's other sources that we can advertise the next time. I mean, I'm just trying to throw some ideas out there for you.
We definitely tried to think of everything we could. So any
Yeah.
kind of suggestion for
Like in Instagram, got everybody's on TikTok. Facebook seems to be like the MySpace of what the social media platform that used to be out there, from what I see and hear.
So, Commissioner, just to add to that social media thing,
Yeah.
I don't disagree with what you said. However, we did this off the county websites, so security tends to be a big issue. We could get our own Facebook page. However, some of the other social medias are not necessarily sanctioned for use by county devices for security purposes.
Gotcha.
So
Makes sense.
we were a little limited on that. But I can tell you that I don't watch the news here myself, but I was told that I was seen on the news by multiple people doing 3 TV interviews. That's more TV interviews I've done right in a month than I did in 12 years as a county commissioner. So, we did everything we could to get it out there, and we were just as disappointed in the overall turnout of the number of people that turned out to our open houses or our others. I've also put it out there that if you're part of a group and you'd like to give some input, I'm happy to go pretty much anywhere in the county. Just make an appointment and I'll show up. So if you have a small group of people or you know some people, reach out to the Farm Bureau with that. I've reached out to economic development groups with that offer, and really haven't had a take yet. But until we actually have draft documents, everybody's kind of wondering, well, what does it look like?
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Stay tuned.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that noticed lower numbers on there on turnouts. Because I saw Connell's attendance was 6 and Franklin County was 10, so that seemed really low.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've seen the same thing happen with the city of Pasco, though, too. They've struggled with the same thing within the city limits of trying to get people to turn out. I think they had an event where 2 people showed up. So
that means when the numbers can be.
no.
It could be all one way when it really.
Yeah, we realize that. I mean, we're trying to draw some general conclusions, but trust me, nothing specific. It's just like Millyanne said, it's not statistically significant, and we're very well aware of that. So. But yeah, if you have any questions, as we move along here, we expect to have some drafts that we will ship your way. Please take the time to read everything you can. If you have comments, by all means, we want to hear those comments, whether they're good or bad. If you like a section, don't be afraid to tell us you like that section. It's doing an update to your comprehensive plan is all about building your record. So the more comments we can get, good and bad, or questions even. Sometimes people ask open-ended questions as a comment. That's not necessarily a bad thing. We don't necessarily answer the question. Sometimes it can't be answered. We can't predict any more than you can we don't have a crystal ball to know what's going to happen 20 years. We're doing our best job we can.
And you did receive the 3 components that I talked about tonight, right? Did you receive ahead of time the introduction, the natural environment, and the historical and cultural?
We sent it out. Mm-hmm. Not just a couple of minutes before. No, we sent that out last Thursday. We sent it out with the agenda. Yeah. Yeah.
Tough though, because I've tried to. You know, that's not a knock on anybody.
So I've done this in one aspect or another for 30 years, not as a trained planner, but like I said, in one aspect or another. And I will tell you that when you have 10 people show up to a meeting for this kind of a subject, it's actually a good thing. If you fill a room with 100 people, you've done something major league wrong. But yeah, people tend not to show up if they're, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but they tend to show up if they don't see anything that they don't worry about. But again, sometimes we need that positive input so we know we're on the right track.
Yeah, and I would just add that part of this will also be updating your codes, your administrative codes, your subdivision codes, and your zoning codes. And that, in addition to the comprehensive plan, it's really important to get people out because there could be a lot of things changing. And if they don't show up until the neighbor is trying to get a permit to do something, then they missed out, you know. But if they can show up during the process of renovating and updating the codes, then they can have a say in what's happening in their neighborhoods and their communities.
Yeah, now's the time to come out and comment, not when you have the project in front of you. Because when we get the project, it's vested in the code, and we have to follow the code. But when you're making the code, that's your opportunity to change things. I'll also say that we have included, and AHBL's been obviously taking the lead on this. There's been a lot of legal changes since the last update, especially around housing. So the housing section is hugely beefed up. There was a new bill that just passed that we'll be incorporating into the housing section on DADUs. And I'm pretty sure that if I remember correctly, the size of the DADUs that the law will allow is 1,300 square feet.
1295, 36 by 36.
Okay,
It's going down.
it's
Yes.
going down
For DADUs in rural areas.
in rural areas.
In cities, it's under,
In a UGA, it's different.
under
Right.
city code.
Right. And within the urban growth boundaries, you're actually allowed 2 ADUs, whether they're attached or detached. Septic can be, if you're on septic, that can be an issue. So it may not allow 2 if you can't fit the septic system in. We've been talking to the health department on some of that to try and coordinate with them on you know, how and where you would cite certain things. So, yeah, but there's a lot of updates in the law that we've included that you'll see as we go along. I'm not thinking of any other section that's quite as robust as housing. The
Just
law
the
changes.
climate element is new.
Oh, climate element,
That's
yeah,
a
well.
whole new set.
The other thing I
I
will
think a
tell
gentleman
you
had a
is-
question back there. He raised his hand.
So the other thing I will tell you really quick is that we made quite a bit of changes to policy in the utility section. The old comprehensive or the current comprehensive plan talked a little bit about broadband. They mentioned telecommunications. They pretty much left most of your standard utilities out of policies. And we have tried to think the 20 years in advance. So even though it may not be feasible at the moment, what do we do with hydrogen? What do we do with small modular nuclear? You know, again, we may not have all the answers, but we've put it in policy so that that helps guide where we would be in the future for those types of energies. Battery storage, we actually have a couple proposals that are going to happen in the next year to two for battery storage. It's going to be more of a big thing. And then in the climate element, I know we mentioned, I'll get this wrong, industrial symbiosis. So it's essentially your waste from your industry is my fuel for my industry. And you kind of build this little industrial complex that all feed off of each other. So there's very little waste that's not productive use.
Can you elaborate on what you meant by battery storage? Are we talking RV car battery storage? What kind of battery storage?
So we actually met with Franklin PUD yesterday and asked them what battery storage they would be using. And the proposal is it's lithium iron batteries. It's kind of essentially the same as what you'd see in a Tesla as the technology that they're doing. Even they don't have a lot of knowledge about it, but essentially what they do with the battery storage is when the system is producing excess energy, you can put it in the batteries. And then as the power demand goes up, rather than buying power on the open market, they can actually bring it out of the battery storage to help feed that. So it helps keep your costs down. It's environmentally sensitive. This is pretty safe. I'd say from an environmental aspect, the only concern that really gets thrown out there is, lithium, if it catches on fire, it's a little hard to control. And, we're going to put in our code to make sure that in any project of that sort, we'll be making sure we coordinate with the local fire folks.
We're gonna add that to it.
Yeah, well. Did you have a question? If I may.
Hi, my name's Phil Barlow, and I'm the president of a small group we're called Sustainable Tri-Cities. And we're real excited about the new climate element, really. And everything you just said was exactly what I was going to say. People are really starting not to take some of these aspects in the next 20 years, some of the changes. There's so much going to happen, if you can imagine 20 years from now. And the energy one is really one that used to be the utilities would just give you the package. Here's your energy plan. And it would be their strategic plan, which is fine. We don't even understand it. But now it's becoming business. Now business is getting involved, and there's green energy businesses. And as it becomes more economic, that's what's driving it. And so we have to think more seriously about it, because things like data centers. I've been to maybe 10 of the local comprehensive plan updates that are going on, and the one in West Richland got really heated up at City Council about, what about these data centers? Are they safe? Are they going to use up our water? Are they going to increase our own utility bills because the demands are so high? And so much of it is technical. Being able, the battery storage, being able to offload supplies from other generations like the windmills and that sort of thing, so that you can tap into it later on. And one of the things I'd like to say is a lot of what's been done in our region now, Benton County and the cities over in Benton, including Pasco, got together on the climate element. And so they've already drafted a pretty good section for the climate element. And again, we're real excited about it. I think it's the right thing to do, because certainly climate doesn't end at your border. What happens in Pasco goes over to the Benton County side and vice versa. So I'm really glad that we're seeing some of that regional collaboration, even as you're responsible for your own regulations. Just maybe to wrap up, I'd say Benton County is pretty much finished their draft, and I know the consultants are talking to one another. They did an EIS for their comprehensive plan. There were some elements specifically around siting energy, clean energy facilities, but they decided not to put it in their comp plan, but it is in their EIS. So it's that thinking ahead, getting ready for some of these big changes. I will be reading it as soon as you got a draft. And one of the reasons people don't come to these things is no matter how you write them, these are massive documents. We're talking 400 pages. And, nobody really gets it. So disaggregating it a little bit and trying to find people's interests. And I found that I do a lot of tabling at events, and I have the real simple surveys. And people are conscious of what's going on. And I just encourage you, look at the other ones that are out there already, especially Benton County, and it's already done, and a lot of the work's done. And there's no reason to reformulate a lot of this stuff. So that's all I got.
We're real good about not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's one thing about government. We can plagiarize legally from each other. If there's no more questions.
Anyone else? Staff update?
I can tell you we're losing Sam, so this is his last meeting. He's actually moving to Tokyo, of all places. So we thank Sam for his work that he's done while he's been with Franklin County, and he'll be missed. And I'm looking for another planner, so if you know somebody that's interested, let me know. But yeah, so make sure you say goodbye to Sam on your way out tonight. Thank you, Sam.
At 7:55. Thank you. See you next month.
Yeah.